2 years ago, just days before Christmas, I had scored the perfect work setup. I was 28 and I'd used all my remote days to take the entire week off from the office, planning to work from home. See, our company was super flexible. As long as the work got done, they didn't care when we did it. And with a massive winter storm forecasted to slam our town, I wanted to be safe, warm, and working in my pajamas. My preferred schedule was sleeping in and working late into the night, so I fired up my laptop around noon. The first few hours were calm. I sipped my coffee, and outside my window, the storm began. The wind howled, and the snow started piling up. By 3 or 4 p.m., it was pitch dark from the heavy clouds, and the world outside was a blur of white. I scrapped my dinner plans, deciding to just hunker down. I worked at my desk for a couple more hours as the full force of the blizzard raged. I kept the window shades open to watch the snow, but then, out of nowhere, a flicker of light. I saw a thin beam of a flashlight moving around outside in the freezing cold. Who would be out there? Curious, I got up and peered out, but the light just vanished into the storm. I shrugged it off, figuring a neighbor was looking for a lost pet, and tried to refocus on my work. Over the next 2 hours, the old house creaked and moaned in the wind. But several times I heard distinct, louder sounds that made me stop and listen. I convinced myself it was just the storm until a much louder thud echoed through the house. This wasn't settling wood. It sounded like something breaking, and it sounded like it was inside. I got up and cautiously checked the hallway, then moved downstairs. Everything seemed normal, and with no further noises, I started heading back upstairs. That's when it happened. A sharp click, and the entire house was plunged into absolute, suffocating darkness. The power was out. With the blizzard blocking all outside light, I couldn't see my own hand in front of my face. Assuming a breaker had tripped, I felt my way back down the stairs, heading for the basement door where the breaker box was. That's when I heard it, a muffled movement. It was coming from behind the basement door. I froze as I heard the quiet creak of the door opening. My eyes strained into the blackness of the hallway. In a panic, I silently slipped into the open bathroom doorway next to me, too afraid to close it. Then, the slow, quiet footsteps began. They moved down the hallway, coming closer and closer, until they passed right by the open bathroom doorway, just 2 or 3 feet from where I stood, holding my breath in the perfect dark. The footsteps reached the stairs, and now on carpet, fell silent. Seizing my chance, I blindly ran for the garage, grabbed my keys, and bolted out to my car in the driveway. I drove away and used my car's SOS to call the police. When they arrived, the intruder was gone, but what they found was chilling. After breaking in and cutting the power, the person had gone straight upstairs to my office, then to my bedroom, and nowhere else. This wasn't a random burglary. Whoever it was knew the layout of my house perfectly, and they were there, walking through the darkness, looking specifically for me. The most unsettling part? It was likely someone I knew, someone I maybe talked to regularly. I moved away soon after, haunted by paranoia, questioning every acquaintance. I haven't had anything happen since, and I hope I never have an update to give. I'd been driving since sunrise, trying to make it from Minneapolis to my sister's place in Montana. It was just me, my old Subaru, and bad gas station coffee. A simple winter road trip. That changed once I headed north and the snow began. It started light, but by sunset it was a full-blown blizzard, a wall of white my headlights could barely penetrate. After an hour of white-knuckle driving on invisible roads, I promised myself I'd pull off at the next sign of life. About 15 minutes later, I barely made out a dim light through the snow and turned into a small parking lot. It was a lonely roadside café with 3 other cars outside. Hoping for a motel, but grateful for shelter, I hurried in from the freezing cold. The place was an old-fashioned, quiet diner. A woman worked behind the counter, and 2 men sat at the bar.
An awkward silence hung in the air when I entered, though they all greeted me. I ordered coffee and sat by the front window, watching the snow bury our cars. I got a weird feeling from one of the men. He was older, maybe 50, and had this hollow, half-dead look about him. After I sat down, the silence returned. A few minutes later, one man got up, muttered about getting to his cabin, and left. Soon after, the other man, the one who gave me the creeps, left without a word. I moved back to the bar and asked the worker about them. She said they'd pulled in around the same time and seemed to be arguing in the lot before coming inside, then just clammed up. I chalked it up to road rage. I stayed and made small talk with her for about 30 minutes. When I returned to the window to check the weather, a chill shot down my spine. Both men's cars were still there, completely snow-dusted, but the men were nowhere to be seen. They had vanished into the blizzard. A deep unease settled over me. I stepped outside into the biting cold. It was quiet, too quiet. No signs of them. I hurried to my car to warm it up, but it wouldn't start. Not a sputter, not a click, dead silent. And my gut knew. One of those men had done this. As I sat there trying the ignition, I saw a dark figure emerge from the woods behind the café. It was the creepy man walking toward the cars. I sprinted back inside, locked the door, and urgently told the worker to call 911. The man appeared at the door, tried the handle, made intense eye contact with me through the glass, and started banging. His bloodshot eyes and pale face were terrifying. After a few seconds, he ran to his car and sped off. When the police arrived, only 3 cars remained: mine, the workers, and the other man's car. They followed faint tracks into the woods and found his body. Nothing was stolen. It was just violence, and my suspicion was confirmed. Both our cars had their ignition wires deliberately cut. The story wrote itself. The creepy man had disabled the other driver's car, waited for him to go outside, and followed him. With no escape in the blizzard, it ended in the woods, and he had cut my line too. He had the same plans for me. I made it to my sisters safely, but they never found the man. The image of him walking out of those woods toward me, knowing his true intent, still makes my heart race. I won't be taking any winter road trips again.
This happened last winter, between Christmas and New Year's. I was home from college and doing some DoorDash to make extra cash. A snowy night like this was perfect. Most people didn't want to brave the roads, so orders were steady. Around 10 p.m., I got an order that sent me about 20 minutes out to the wooded outskirts of my small hometown. The GPS led me off the main road onto a forested lane, finally pointing to what should have been a driveway. But it was just a snowed-in path, completely unplowed, leading into pitch-black woods. No lights, no signs of a house. I stayed in my car and called the customer. A man with a deep, raspy smoker's voice answered immediately. I told him I couldn't see a clear driveway or house. His response was snarky and aggressive. "That's why I ordered delivery. If you're not going to deliver it, what's the point?" Not wanting a bad rating, I reluctantly agreed. I now know the rules protect drivers in this exact situation, but in the moment I felt pressured. So I grabbed the order, locked my car, and started trudging through the snow. The path was unclear, and with no lights to guide me, I was just following a guess between the trees. I kept looking back at my car, my only beacon, watching it shrink in the distance. Ahead was just endless, dark forest. Then, a sound to my left, a distinct crunch, like a boot stepping in snow. I spun, shining my phone light, but it was useless against the darkness. I heard nothing else, so I kept going, the cold biting through my clothes. A horrible realization dawned on me. What if there was no house? What if this was a trap to get me out here alone? I stopped in my tracks, completely unnerved. I pulled out my phone to call the customer one last time, ready to turn back. It rang twice. Then, in a corner of my eye, I saw a faint light flash deep in the trees, and the call immediately dropped. I didn't wait another second. I turned and sprinted back toward my car. the sound of my own footsteps in the snow drowning out any possibility of hearing if I was being chased. As I reached my car, my heart sank. It was leaning to one side. He had slashed my tire. I jumped in, started the engine, and sped out of there on the flat tire. I called the police, but they didn't seem to take it seriously. To me, it's crystal clear. That man lured me out there, was likely watching me the whole time, and sabotaged my car to trap me. I don't know what was waiting for me in those woods, and I never want to find out.